Hello, and welcome to Soulfessions. I'm your host, Molly Ray. To live a life full of joy, happiness, and connection, to connect with our most authentic self, we must be willing to confess where we are in life. I have worked through many traumatic life events, including giving birth to twins 3 months early. My healing began when I was ready to confess exactly how I was feeling and the work I needed to do to release the pain. I honored my feelings and used my loving connection with music in the healing process. Join me as I speak honestly about my journey and how you can begin your journey of healing and finding joy. It all starts with a Soulfession. Hello, I hope everyone is having an amazing week, and thank you so much for tuning in with me this week. The podcast this week may sound a little different to you, as I am currently podcasting from the beach and do not have my typical podcasting equipment with me. But I wanted to hop on here this week and share with you a little bit about my process of coming to the beach with my 2 children and just having a girl beach experience. What I mean by that is my husband had to stay behind this week and work. He was unable to get off. And this is the first time ever that I have taken the kids this far by myself for this long. And for me, I had to really encourage myself and believe in myself that I could even do this alone. And I say that because even though my husband works a lot out of town, for me, this idea of going somewhere alone with the kids without having that extra adult, that 2-on-2 kind of supervision, at first was a little nerve-wracking to me. But then I realized that I was completely creating something that did not need to exist. And what I mean by that is, there's two ways you can handle experiences in life. You can set the intention that you're going to have a good time, that everything's going to work out well, and that everything is going to just work in the way that it's meant to. Or you can create and manifest the worst possible scenarios and situations. And for me, I used to be one of those people that tried to think positive, but many times those negative thoughts would creep into my brain. And what I found with this vacation is that I really had to tell myself that I'm fully capable of driving 10 hours in traffic, because some of the areas I had to drive to were heavily trafficked. And I had to really encourage myself that everything was going to be fine, that the trip would be good, that the kids would be good, which I know the kids are good, and they're old enough now that they're more self-sufficient, that they're not toddlers anymore. But I really had to take away all of that negative thought process. And that was one thing that was so good about this vacation for me, because somewhere in my mind, a long time ago, I told myself that I couldn't do things like this alone, that I couldn't handle things like this alone. And that's just ridiculous. I can. And we are. I made the trip down here perfectly fine. Unloaded the vehicle, no problem. Kids have been extremely helpful. We're having an amazing time sharing memories and making memories together. And the interesting thing too about this trip is the fact that where we're staying, there's an activity center for the kids. And the kids are really interested in hanging out in this activity center this time around, which is fine. However, it is having me hang out by myself on vacation in another state, which would have been a completely unnerving experience for me before. And this time around, when the kids decide they want to go to the activity center for a couple hours, I'm literally finding things that I want to do for myself. And it's been nice to spend some time with me and to enjoy the beach. And I'm not uncomfortable. But I know for me, part of the reason why I'm not uncomfortable like I would have been in the past is because I completely changed my mindset. And that was a choice that I made. And it's not always easy to change your mindset when you're looking at a situation and you've kind of been preconditioned to look at it one way over the other. But it is something that you can do if you choose to set the intention and you choose to stop yourself when you are thinking in a way that feels unhealthy for you. What I mean by that is if you're telling yourself that you can't do something and you're telling yourself that you're not capable of accomplishing something, or you're telling yourself that I can't be alone at a beach while my kids are playing in an activity center, anything like that. If you keep telling yourself that, then you believe it. But you can change what you believe in yourself and how you believe in yourself. And you can do that by stopping the I can't. And it's not always easy. And it's a process and it takes time. But you can stop the I can't self-talk. And what I have been doing this week and what I did leading up to coming here was just that. If I started to think something as if, how am I going to drive down here by myself? How am I going to drive these kids 10 hours to the beach? I would stop myself and I would say, Molly, you're going to be fine. You have a GPS system. You've got 2 self-sufficient kids. And I would keep telling myself that every time something negative came into my head. And then I would take it a step further and I would think of all the ways that I could make that trip a little bit easier for me. So one thing that I thought about was, well, I can make sure I pack snacks for the kids and make sure I pack them enough to drink and make sure the snacks and everything are right where they're able to reach them. So that is one thing that we made sure that we did. Another thing, I made sure that the kids had neck pillows and things like that. If they got uncomfortable or needed to take a nap, then they had a neck pillow easily accessible. Another thing I thought about in the car is what if the kids are chilly? So I reminded them, take your blankets with you so you can have something to keep your legs warm if you get cold. And then the last thing that I thought about was the electronic situation, which makes me think about that commercial where people were going, I'm dying, I'm dying. So with that, in my van, we have the ability to plug in the back seat. Plus, I have a very large charging cable located in the front, which reached the middle because I have one kid in the middle and one kid in the back. It's kind of their thing for their personal space, yet they can still hang out and talk to each other. So we made sure that the charging cables were available, that they could watch things on their iPad or do things on their iPad to keep them preoccupied. So all of these things were things that I thought about as to what could I do to just make this drive go a little smoother. And it did. It helped a lot. And then we got down here and it's just been great. I've just been sitting back and enjoying myself, and I've been really working on being present, which I talked about in last week's podcast. The kids and I have been watching movies every night. We're sitting together and hanging out and watching movies and just sitting down and eating meals together. I'm spending time making sure that I am not hung up on my cell phone all the time, which I have to admit that is super challenging. I'm so used to just picking that thing up and looking at stuff. But this has just been a bad habit that I've gotten into. So it's been nice putting the phone down. And I'm going to keep paying attention to that and doing more of that when I go back home as well. But really, in essence, with all of this, for me, is that anything that I had told myself or stopped myself from saying about not being able to do this or not being able to be capable or make this work, it was complete nonsense popping into my head, because I am capable and I know I'm capable. And the more I told myself that this will be fine, this will be a great vacation, that taking the kids by myself is not a big deal, that I can completely do that without having any issues whatsoever, it was what I needed to continue to say to myself till I got down here. Because once I got down here, all of that was truth. It was truth. And yes, is it easier to have that second adult along? Was it easier to have my husband along? Yeah, in many circumstances it is, when it comes to unpacking the car and parking the car and having an extra adult hand to carry things in that were too heavy for my kids. But all of that stuff are just little situations that, yes, could make things a little bit easier, but it should never have, and it should never prevent anybody from doing something just because you might have to do it in a different way if it's not a scenario that you're used to having it look like. So yes, I'm used to having 2 adults with 2 kids and all of the beautiful things that go along with that. Yes, I'm used to my husband driving to Myrtle Beach while I navigate and keep an eye on the traffic and help the kids out if they need help. Yes, all of those things are easier. He parks the car and we go upstairs. It's easier. Absolutely. But it can still be done without the extra helping hand. You just have to alternate the way you do things to make it work when it's just you, or when it's just you and the kids, or however the situation looks. I will tell you, I very much appreciate now my husband more doing this trip by myself with the kids, but I also am grateful for the opportunity to show myself that I am capable of anything that I put my mind to. And I want you to remember that you are capable of anything you set your mind to. And the only way that you can allow yourself to do things in life is if you learn and train your brain and retrain your thought process to believe that you are capable of whatever it is you set your mind to. So whether it be starting a new job or going to a different job or going on vacation or just going to the movies alone, anything that you may be struggling with in life, you may not feel confident enough or comfortable enough to do on your own. Start to change the narrative. Stop yourself and tell yourself you are capable. Stop yourself and replace that negative self-talk with positive words. And I promise you, the more you do it, the more you will start to believe in yourself and what you are capable of. And it just takes one step at a time. And as you build upon those steps, your confidence level will continue to increase. And you will continue to live life in a fearless way. So thank you so much for tuning in with me. Have a beautiful and blessed week. I will talk to you all next week.
Thank you for tuning in with me today. If you are enjoying the podcast, please like it and share it with your friends and family. To learn more about my soul movement coaching, sound therapy, and other services, you can visit my website at www.tuneinwithmolly.com.